Hi guys, Darko here, welcome to my new calibration video. This time in front of me is Philips 65PUS7601, technically the best LCD TV in Philips' 2016 lineup. And today I will show you calibration for watching standard dynamic range content with standard colors. What that means is that these settings are applicable for everything which is not HDR and which is not using wide color gamut. So let's jump right to it. I will push settings button on the remote control and go straight to all settings. Here in picture and picture style you see that I've selected ISF day for calibration. However, TV comes by default in standard, and I think the difference is quite obvious. Calibrated picture is much more natural, much more easier on the eye with natural looking colors, and this huge amount of blue, which is typical for not only Philips but other manufacturers, is present in standard and in other modes by default. The only exception is movie, ISF day, which I calibrated, and ISF night. Here you see this lock left of the icon. This means that if you hire somebody to do professional calibration, then that person can lock the settings for you, just to make sure that you don't adjust something by accident. However, I like to keep this option enabled because, as I will show you, now going through color, which is at the default 50 and also 50 after calibration, you have this contrast control. And basically contrast control on Philips TVs is used to adjust luminance, so how bright the image will be. So going above will make image brighter and below make it dimmer. My target, as always, is around 200 nits, which is for me perfect balance for daytime and nighttime viewing. However, you should adjust this according to your viewing environment. Sharpness I reduced from default 2 to default 1 just to get more natural edges and objects on screen. Brightness, this is black level control, I left it at default 50, which works great. And now let's go to advanced menu. Here you have computer turned off. Color, this menu offers color enhancement, which is not available for this source. Color temperature, which I set to custom, basically this is white balance control. And here in custom color temperature you see my values. So we have for red 125, for green 86, for blue 44, and we have these backlight options. So red backlight -2 and remaining two options are at 0. So this is not as advanced white balance adjustment as on other TVs these days. However, after calibration I managed to get really accurate grayscale, and while checking patterns nothing was really standing out, not one color would stand out in any part of the spectrum. Color control, basically this is color management system, and Philips offers hue and saturation controls. So for hue you see red 0, yellow +2, green 0, cyan +2, blue 0 and magenta +2. And now let's go to saturation, where we have red 0, yellow +7, green -2, cyan -5, blue 0 and magenta +2. RGB only mode is to be used for calibration, so it should be turned off. Now let's go to contrast submenu. Contrast mode I recommend standard. Basically this TV has very powerful full array local dimming, and this is the control through which you can enable it or disable. For well-lit environment where you don't care so much about perfect black, you can even disable this option. But for 99% of usage I recommend keeping it at standard. HDR upscaling should be disabled. If you however want to see how TV will convert SDR to HDR content, you can enable this option. Perfect contrast is a fancy name for dynamic contrast. I recommend having it disabled. Video contrast, now this is white level control. By default, certain details in highlights were simply not present because it was at maximum 100, and by reducing it to 90 I managed to get all the details in highlights and more balanced gamma and overall picture. Light sensor, basically if you want TV to adjust luminance of the screen automatically depending on amount of light in the room, you can enable this option. But if you want full control, then it should be disabled. And gamma, it was very accurate, so at 0 is what I selected after calibration. Now let's go to sharpness. In short, everything should be disabled: ultra resolution, noise reduction, and impact artifact reduction. If you have noisy content or you simply want to reduce this optical characteristic of film, for example, you can enable this option. It's quite effective. And finally, we're coming to motion. Basically, this is a 120 Hz TV that offers both blur reduction and judder reduction. So if you want smooth 24p playback, you should play around with this perfect natural motion option. But if you want pure 24p movie content reproduction without soap opera effect or artifacts, with constant rate of playback, then I recommend only engaging this clear LCD. This option will also improve motion resolution. And finally, we have picture format. I recommend having it at advanced and original. By default, it comes to fit to screen and you will lose edges of the information because of overscan. So guys, you see, after all these adjustments, you get really improved picture quality compared to the default one. So if you're gonna get this TV and you want accurate colors and balanced picture, I recommend hiring a professional calibrator, despite me showing you these settings, because this TV is one of those that really benefit from calibration. Of course, as usual with this type of panels, for best colors, whether or not they're calibrated or not, you should sit directly in front of the screen. Any off-axis viewing will impact colors, gamma, and contrast. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to support my work, you can get all the settings I've shown in this video, and also for other calibrations, just follow the link in the description.